The most important work is happening where no one can see it. You're not behind, you are being planted. Hey guys, welcome to week 1 of the Rooted in Faith series. If your relationship with God has been feeling a little shaky, a little, or it's there, but you're not growing the way you want it to, you are absolutely in the right place. Because this week we are talking about the foundation, not the fruit, not the performance, just the roots. Because if we're really being honest and real with ourselves, a lot of us are trying to produce something in our spiritual life without making sure we're actually planting in something solid. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about what it really means to be rooted in faith, how to build daily rhythms that actually hold. And I'm going to give you about 3 practical tips that I personally use to stay grounded, especially when life starts lifing, guys. And I'm going to show you how I use my devotionals and my journal prompts to work this out in real life and not just theory. So let's get in, y'all. First things first, right? What does it even mean to be rooted in faith? If you go to Colossians 2 6 through 7, right, it says, "So then, just as you receive Christ Jesus as Lord, continue to live your lives in Him, rooted and built up in Him, strengthened in the faith as you were taught, and overflowing with thankfulness." Now, guys, that word rooted, that's not just poetic, it is foundational because being rooted means you are anchored, right? You don't just believe in God when things are good, you are connected with Him, right? Even when you're tired, even when you're overwhelmed or not feeling super spiritual, right? It means your identity, your peace, and your purpose are drawing from something deeper than just circumstances. Rooted faith keeps you steady when everything around you is shifting. So here is tip number 1. I want you to start out with a rhythm, not just a to-do list, okay? Because let me tell you right now, I used to have everything, right? I used to have the to-do list, the Bible reading, the journaling, the devotionals, the playlist. I even had a Pinterest board back in the day, but I still felt spiritually dry. Now, what I had to do to get back into Christ, I had to start by keeping it simple. One verse before I started scrolling. That's it. Sometimes I will write down the verse. Sometimes I would just sit with the verse and meditate. But that rhythm has helped me get started. My day was connected instead of scattered. And that is why I included these type of prompts in my Rooted in Faith devotional. It's not about doing the most. It's about doing something to create consistency. Now, the next thing I want to do is talk about shallow faith, okay? In Luke 8:13, this is where Jesus talks about the seeds that sprouted fast but did not last. They looked good for a moment, but when testing came, they withered away, right? And why is that? It's because they had no roots, guys. And I've been there, you've been there. I look consistent on the outside, right? But the minute life start lifing and I get pressure, I just started unraveling. But I realized that I had no depth. I was inspired, but not planted. So here is tip number 2. This is something I do, right? I do something that's called a root check. Just a moment where I just sit and I ask myself, what is actually feeding my faith right now? Not what I planted, not what I meant to do, but what am I actually consuming? Is it truth or is it noise? That question really helps me get recentered, right? And again, in my devotional I created, there's a space to reflect on that. It's not deep, it's just spiritually honesty. And sometimes that is all you need. Now, this part right here, this changed the way I saw patterns, guys. In Proverbs 4:23, it says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And that means your habits, guys. That means your reactions. That shutdown moment you had last week, that's not random. It is rooted in something. Because I used to beat myself up all the time for procrastinating, for disconnecting when I was overwhelmed. But now I just really ask myself, what is really underneath that? Because a lot of times, what looks like laziness is actually fear. What looks like being busy is actually avoidance, right? And what looks like control is actually anxiety in a really good outfit. So here is tip number 3: journal what you're avoiding. When something feels off, I make s- I make space to write through it, right? And it doesn't need to be pretty or profound. It just needs to be honest, just you, the paper, and God. And that's why I started with the journal prompts, and I put that in my devotional, not to make it cute or whatever, but so you can actually process through what's going on spiritually in your life, not just reading a Bible verse, but really digging into it deep to understand it and how it applies in your life. And it's not about fixing yourself, it's about being with God in the middle of it. Now, before I wrap it up, I want to drop a quick little truth bomb for anybody who's feeling like their growth is taking too long. Let's talk about the tree roots, right? Let's talk about it for a second. Let's get to understand what tree roots are. Most people don't realize this, but when a tree is first planted, the first thing it does is grow its root system. It has to grow its root system. And that root system can take years to develop before you can see anything above ground, before anything shows. Sometimes trees will grow roots 2 to 3 times wider than their branches before you ever see their fruit. So if you feel like you're in a season where nothing, and I mean nothing, is happening, it might just mean God is growing your foundation. The most important work is happening where no one can see it. You're not behind, you are being planted. So here's a recap, guys. This week was all about foundation. We're not trying to go viral, we are trying to go deep, okay? So start with the rhythm you can actually keep. Pause for a root check every now and again. And when things feel off, journal through it instead of shaming yourself. And if you want tools to help you with all of that, I do have a book. She is Rooted in Faith. It's a 31-day journal. It's journaling prompts that you can go through. And then I also have a digital books is some journal prompts. It's just journal prompts to go through the books of the Bible. I have Matthew, Mark, and Luke. I'll be posting daily root checks to help us walk this thing out together. I am so excited about this series. So I want you to drop a comment and let me know what you are personally rooted in right now, or what you are trying to be rooted in, so we can grow together.